Hello, welcome to Renew Our Minds. In this video, I will answer questions about using the journey method to memorize the Bible. These questions are: do you use a different journey for each passage? Do you use the journey method for every passage you memorize? How do you review passages you have memorized with the journey method? What if the journey method is not helping me memorize the Bible? Okay, so the first question, do you use a different journey method for each passage? No, I have reused the same journey for multiple passages. For example, when I started to learn the book of Colossians, I compared the number of verses in each chapter. The longest chapter has 29 verses. So I used the journey method with 29 items and applied it to each chapter. The second question, do you use the journey method for every passage you memorize? No, I use it when needed. It is similar to selecting the tools you need for a house project or cooking a meal. In the same way, I found that the journey method is helpful for certain types of passages. The first type of passage is when there are many similar phrases. Let's look at Psalm 51, verses 1 and 2 as an example. It says, "Have mercy on me, O God, according to your steadfast love. According to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgression. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin." In these two verses, we already have three similar words: sin, iniquity, transgression. Then there's also a literary device called parallelism, where the second phrase is contrasting or supporting the first phrase, and we see this used here. I use the journey method to help keep these things straight. Then I also found that in Paul's writing style, he is repeating doctrinal points with similar phrases. A second type of passage the journey method has helped me with is teaching passages, such as the Sermon on the Mount or John chapters 14 through 16. Next, the journey method is helpful for passages with lists, including genealogies. And then lastly, it is helpful for learning longer passages, such as chapters and books. It is easier to mix up the order of verses, and the journey method is helpful in this. However, here's an example where you may not need to use the journey method. Stories already have a natural sequence of events that we can remember. That is why I recommend people starting out to memorize the Bible to pick a gospel story. The next question is, how do you review passages you have memorized with the journey method? First, I keep notes on the journeys that I've created handy in my phone app. That way I can refer to it anytime I need. Then, after I finished learning a passage with the journey method, I add it to my memory jogger notes. These memory jogger notes help me remember how I learned the passage when I'm reviewing it later on. For example, I provided a table in the video, How to Memorize Matthew 6, verses 25 through 34 with the journey method. Here's how I noted the journey method item with the association to each verse. Taking this extra step to jot down these notes has been very helpful. Instead of forgetting how I learned these verses the first time, I can quickly get up to speed and refresh my memory with these notes. The next question is, what if the journey method is not helping me memorize the Bible? I would answer this in three ways. First, it may take more practice. This is similar to learning how to use a new tool, such as a power drill or a pressure cooker. Also, check if you are following the guidelines for using the journey method successfully. I included this in my video on how to memorize Matthew 6, verses 25 to 34. Second, it may be helpful to combine with different memorization techniques. I rarely just use one thing to learn a passage. And then third, you may find that the journey method just doesn't gel well with your preferred learning style. There's a widely known learning styles model that was developed by psychologists in the 1920s. They identified three preferred learning styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. We generally prefer one, although we may use a combination of them. I prefer the visual learning style, and the journey method is all about mentally walking through a route and associating it with what I'm learning. However, you may find that other things are more helpful for you, like using a memory Bible app, or singing a song, or writing out the verses over and over. So keep trying and see what works best for you. If you have any more questions on the journey method or comments, feel free to post a comment to this video or email me at renewourminds12@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.